All right. Oh, God.
What's going on, everyone? We are live. We are recording episode, count 'em, Zach, 8 of Burnt Rubber Racing. This show is still going. We're here for our 8th straight week, and might be a little bit of a different show this week, kind of format-wise, as we didn't have NASCAR. We didn't have any racing going on this past weekend, but we got a race to preview for this coming one, so we are excited to dive into that. I am Henry John, co-host of the aforementioned Burnt Rubber Racing podcast, joined as always by Zach McAdoo, who is enjoying some lunch, it appears, while we're doing this. Zach, how you doing today? How's that food? What do we got? What are we eating?
Double quarter pounder, because my niece called me and asked, will you come get me McDonald's? So I was like, okay, yeah, I can't tell her no, so thanks for making me sound better.
Well, there it is. So if you hear a little snacking going on during this, it's not a mouse in your kitchen, I promise. It's just Zach.
It's Zach McAdoo.
Your podcast. Zach McAdoo, yes.
Snack.
Not to be snack. You really went there. Oh my goodness.
Listen, I did not come up with that one. I will blame that on. He knows who he is if he ever listens to this, and he'll message me. But yeah, I didn't come up with that. I honestly hated the name for the first couple of years I heard it.
Is it snack or is it snacks? Is it plural?
Snackadoo.
Snack. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Let's just move on from it, and we'll talk about it later.
Apparently, this is an off-air conversation that I need to hear.
Well, I don't want the show to go on for forever, so we'll get into it.
No, yeah, I don't think we can talk forever. So let us dive into it. Again, you've been with us here through the first 8 weeks, and we're going to keep going, I guess. They haven't kicked us off yet. So wherever you get your podcasts, download, subscribe, follow Burnt Rubber Racing, and you can also follow the show on Twitter at Burnt Rubber Racing. We need new social media managers, apparently, Zach, or just managers with more time on their hands. I feel like we do a great job around the show, putting some stuff out, and then, we kind of fall off the bandwagon in the middle of the week. So we'll see if we can get a little routine going down on there. And so, yeah, follow us, interact. Yeah. What do you want to say?
Between us setting up the rundown and all our articles, and that we just neither of us know what to do for Twitters, and so we're just kind of just like an easy, which we need to be better at. I need to be better at. Don't worry, we'll work on it.
Yeah, 100%. So be sure to follow the show and check out those articles Zach mentioned as well over at flurrysports.org. We got a whole nice NASCAR section. We go in depth on every race every week. Zach even puts the recap in writing right after the race. So in case you don't want to wait until Thursdays, we do. We have our own tab right at the top of the site. So yeah, that recap, in case you don't want to listen to us babble on Thursdays or want to wait 4 days after the race when we record and put the podcast out, go ahead and read Zach's recap, and you'll get all the detailed analysis and his personal takes on what goes down in written form too. So it's all over at flurrysports.org in the NASCAR section. Zach, before we get to previewing the Blue Emu Maximum Pain Relief 500 at Martinsville Speedway this weekend, we have to finish up what we teased on last week's show, which is we had, of course, our guest Jake Sandholz on. He tried to go to the Bristol Dirt Race. He failed in that attempt, but it was still good to have him on and chatted up about some futures odds for NASCAR and such. If you missed last week's episode, Jake gave us his favorite race of all time. I am not going to recall for you what it was, and I don't think Zach is either.
If you care that much, go back and listen. At the end of last week, he trolled us. I'll just say that.
He did. So don't expect him back on here anytime soon. We keep the receipts, but yeah, it's right at the tail end, last 5 minutes. Jake shares his favorite race ever. Zach and I are going to be a little more serious about our first races ever. I'm gonna turn it over to you first, man. You have the more recent all-time favorite, and it to me is an interesting all-time favorite, considering we've kind of both alleged here on this very show that our favorite tracks out there are the super speedways. You're an Atlanta guy, so that would have been my next guess on where it came from on the rugged surface down in Hampton, Georgia. It's not there either, and it actually is a track that we're going to see run on in the very, very near future. So please enlighten us.
Okay, so this needs kind of need some background context to it. So for the week before the race, there was stuff happening in my personal life that didn't go so well, and I'll just leave it at that. So coming to this race, I was kind of like depressed and whatnot, and so I wanted a good race. So Joey Logano comes out, leads most of the race, and then on a restart, Keselowski, Kurt Busch, and Matt Kenseth all got into an accident. Taking two of them, I think Keselowski and Kurt Busch were both out, but Kenseth went to the garage, fixed his car, and you know where I'm going with this, and everyone should know where I'm going with this. Proceeds to take out Joey Logano. That in the moment, like, I loved it, but now looking back, it's kind of one of those things that's like, ooh, I probably should not have rooted for that. But I mean, in the time, you're not gonna say that's horrible or whatnot. You loved it because at the time I didn't like Logano. At the time, I thought Kenseth was like, yeah, Logano completely earned that. But so who takes over the lead? Jeff Gordon, my favorite. And some more background context. I grew up a Jeff Gordon fan, just like my grandfather. Unfortunately, my grandfather passed away in 2003. Cancer sucks, let's say that. But yeah, Jeff Gordon would go on to win that race. I have never screamed louder than that moment. I was watching it in my room. I woke up my niece that I talked about earlier, who was 1 at the time. I just couldn't believe it, and in my head, I'll never forget Alan Gustafson going, yeah, man, we're going to Homestead, all right, and you just see Jeff Gordon just going like this. It was just amazing.
And that was the spring race at Martinsville.
No, fall
race. Okay, fall race Martinsville, 2015. That was Zach's favorite race of all time. So I have to ask you, just as a follow-up question here, are you one of these, because I haven't gotten this vibe from you, okay? You've picked him to win, I feel like 2 or 3 times already this year. He finally got it done kind of on a track that we wouldn't have thought on the Bristol Dirt. Are you one of these NASCAR guys who is like closet Joey Logano hater? Because I feel like a lot of people are more outspoken about their disdain for Logano. But now I'm starting to wonder, you're rooting for a wreck. Do you kind of identify with those said people that keep it under wraps?
So in truth, I used to not like a lot of drivers back then, but I think I've turned a corner a little bit more to where there's only 2 drivers I dislike really, and so I don't root for wrecks, but if they get taken out, they get taken out.
That is very true.
That's
I don't think anyone. Go ahead.
That's not a mafia answer if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, I know. I feel like you're trying to keep some information confidential, maybe with that statement, not disclosing the fine details. But hey, like you said, people get taken out, they get taken out. I don't think any of us are necessarily rooting for wrecks. We're rooting for good racing, but the occasional accident makes everything a little bit more exciting, I think. I'm a restart guy. I enjoy the restarts. That is one benefit of the competition cautions. I think, if you're a purist of the sport, which I have to admit, as a baseball fan, baseball purist 100% over here, this runner on second nonsense in the extra innings and all that's got to go. But
3 times this year I've tweeted how stupid it is. 3 times, and it's been Yankees games and Phillies games and 2 like teams I try to keep up with because the Yankees are my favorite team, Bryce Harper's my favorite player. We talked about that earlier, but like it's just so stupid. Why? It makes no sense. COVID. If you want to say it was a COVID rule, go ahead and say it's COVID rule. But this runner on second and a 7-inning doubleheaders. If you're gonna start doing 7-inning doubleheaders, we might as well just have triple headers. You're only doing 3 more innings in a triple header than you would in a regular doubleheader. So,
yeah, in the Diamondbacks Rockies game the other night, still went 13 innings. So it seems like it's really working in shortening the games.
It did. The Yankees game last night, they got screwed because the runner started at second. It should not happen. Well, but that's another. Well, Flurry Sports Baseball. We need to start that up.
Yeah, really. This is a racing show. I'm sorry to bring up that both Zach and I are purists of baseball, but going back to the point I was trying to make. We're sports fans.
That's all it is. It's
exactly, yeah. Flurry Sports. Like there's a flurry going on of sports where we put this podcast out. So you got to get in there and talk about it all. It's WrestleMania week 2. I thought I saw Randy Orton in my gym this morning. Like we're all over the map. So
Masters apparently started today. I even forgot about Masters.
Yes, yeah, the Masters. All kinds of Jake Senholz, who was guest on this show last week. He's been putting out all kinds of Masters content. So if you're a golf guy and you want to have some action this weekend, check that out too. Hey. What was I saying about restarts? I like restarts. So what NASCAR changed up the rules, the competition caution, but I am a purist at heart. I don't know. I'm all over the map. My favorite race of all time, when I told Zach what it was, he remembered it immediately because one of his 2 favorite drivers, not named Jeff Gordon, 2 favorite current drivers. Yeah, you see the hat. He emerged victorious. It was insane. I remember it, I feel like added so because it was the day after my birthday. The 2007 Daytona 500 run on February 18th. So do the math and figure out when my birthday is if anyone cares. But yeah, obviously Daytona restrictor plates were in use back then, but it's always pack racing, tight at these super speedways. So the whole race is great, right? And then we get to the end, and if you thought this year's final lap was good, that one in 2007, oh my goodness. I'll never forget it. Kevin Harvick was driving not the number 4 at that point in his career, but 29, and he edged out Ryan Newman's the current driver of the 6. At that time, it was Mark Martin. He edged Mark Martin by, I kid you not, maybe this much at the start-finish line to win that race. And as they crossed, Clint Boyer also crossed the line. His car was on fire. His car was upside down. It flipped over on the infield. We had a big fire on the infield. Clint Boyer was climbing out of his car. So not only did you have a race decided by this much, and I think it was a last lap pass too.
Harvick.
Yeah,
Harvick came from
Martin was winning.
Yeah, It was Kyle Busch had the lead. Harvick hit the outside wall and still had the momentum on the outside to get around them both and got the lead and got the win. Yep,
and there, for those of you watching us live right now, there's the car.
the race win. We got to support the diecast here on the show, folks. Lydell, Circle B, they all do great jobs. And hey, Circle B, if you want to sponsor us, we're right here. Burnt Rub Racing, come on.
Yeah, come on. Like he said, show us the money. But yeah, I will never forget that race. I think it was a lot of factors for me. Zach, like you said, with Martinsville 2 there in 15 for you, just kind of the situation you were in your own personal life outside of racing, and you were just hoping for a good race that day, and you got it, and, Gordon gets the win on top of it. And so that one sticks with you, and it's kind of the same thing for me. It's the day after my birthday with the 07 500. I remember it like it was yesterday. We were getting ready to have dinner. I believe my grandparents were over. So all of us were just getting ready. Like dinner was ready, And I was like, no, I want to watch the race. I want to watch the end of the race because it's coming to the end. Dad's like, of course. So my dad's the guy who like he'll tune into the race for the last few laps and doesn't really care about the rest. But I didn't say that. I watch more closely. I promise. But
Mr. John, don't hit him too bad. He's just joking around here.
He won't hear this. I'll tell him we didn't do a show this week. Or maybe my dad just doesn't listen to our show because we're so bad.
We messed around too much on the show.
Yeah, that we do. But yeah, just the combination of my personal life at the time, along with the race that played out and the finish that played out, 2007 Daytona 500. That's the one for me. So,
how old were you? Because I was only 8 at the time when that race went off. So
I would have just turned 1, 2. Yeah, I would have just turned 8 as well.
I didn't know. I thought you were older than me.
I was born in 98.
Okay, so we're the same age. So you are older than me, but
your birthday hasn't come yet. Your birthday's in the summer, so I would have just turned 9 the day before. That's how we can do that math.
Yeah, I was so I don't want to like take away from you like what you just said, but like I was at a birthday party for the like start of the 500, and I ended up going to my grandma's and watching the rest of the race. I was the only one who was happy to see Harvick beat Martin because everyone's like, "Oh, Martin deserved it." So.
Yeah, I didn't really have a dog in the horse. Jeff Gordon was my guy growing up.
Dog in the horse. Dog in the horse. It's dog in the race.
No, it's not. It's dog in the horse. Or did you have a horse in the race or a horse in the dog or a race in the... We're moving on. Those are our favorite races. 2015 Martinsville 2 for Zach. 2007 Daytona 500 for me.
If we
go back and watch them sometime if you have the chance. We promise you won't be disappointed with either one, and no. I'm just going to stop tripping over my words.
Before we move on, I'll say if we get enough feedback on this where people want to see like our top 10s and whatnot, I have no problem talking about it. I have no because we have 2 weeks off later in the year because of the Olympics breaks and whatnot, and I can even do an article. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, 100%. Let us know if you're looking for some other great races throughout history that the two of us enjoy, that you have some free time on your hands you want to go back and watch, we can certainly do that. Guess we better dive into some news and notes here, Zach, before we get to our Martinsville preview. Kind of a quiet week. We didn't have a race, so that's to be expected. But your other boy, not Kevin Harvick, but Tyler Reddick, testing the next-gen car at Darlington this week. I saw he got done and he came away with a scratch, so he was running high. I mean, at Darlington, you do that whether you're Reddick or not, but looked like he did inflict a little punishment on his test car. It also looked pretty sick. It was red and black. Little ladybug, I saw someone describe it as. So, and then to further this point before I throw it over to you, the manufacturers, all the models of the next gen car that NASCAR is transitioning to next year, those are set to be officially revealed in Charlotte on May 5th, so a few weeks away. Any thoughts on this? I'm sure you have something to say about Reddick, but also the car, because I'm excited to see what these look like from all the manufacturers when they do that here in a few weeks too. Yeah,
I mean, you're asking Reddick, a guy who's notorious for running the outside line at any track, let alone Darlington, to run this car and you don't expect him to hit the wall. I mean, it's just you're setting yourself up for failure. Although the car did hold up nice, it looked like it just got a few bumps and bruises, not too much damage. So it looks like the bodies of the next gens are going to be a lot tougher than what this generation was. And yeah, I'm excited to see what the new cars will look like too. I mean, I love the Gen 6 when they came out. They were so sexy, but it's just the racing didn't produce, unfortunately, and they're gonna go bye-bye in after 9 seasons? 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. Yeah, 9 seasons.
yeah, so like, I think we're both excited to see. Honestly, to me, just looking at it, I think going along with what you said, just the durability of these cars, it looked almost like a freaking tank driving around. So maybe that's a little bit of an over comparison, but they do look sturdy. I will say that, just looking at the one Reddick drove and some of the photos and such from that. So we're excited to see those revealed in a few weeks. For those keeping score at home, the Gen 6 car is the second thing Zach has called sexy on this show.
No. The
one?
first time it was a joke, and I said it was because Larson was hot. It was a joke. Can we... Son of a... Move on.
That what you will.
Okay, but no more joking on this show. Oh.
No, we're all serious here. Stop laughing. IndyCar, Zach, is 1 week away. The IndyCar 2021 season will begin next weekend in Alabama at Barber Motorsports Park. Sunday, April 18th, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The opening race of the IndyCar season. You can find that on NBC. We'll dive into that a little more maybe on the show next week, and maybe give some IndyCar preview content over on the site in written form as well. I don't think either of us are going to be able to cover it as in-depth as we do NASCAR on a weekly basis, but we will certainly have IndyCar stuff coming for you this year. A couple of just news things that I saw with IndyCar this week to sort of set the stage. Pablo Montoya, he is set to run his first Indy 500 since 2017. And then Santino Ferrucci also grabbing a ride for the 500. Now, he, of course, gave up IndyCar to run part-time in the Xfinity Series. Not sure if that'll transition into full-time eventually or not for him. So, yeah, Montoya and Ferrucci both going to be a part of the Indy 500. Anything else you've seen from the open wheel that you want to throw out here in the news segment this week? Or?
I know, but I will say that. Oh, actually, yes, because I'm just going to talk. But so today with the first the Indianapolis
Sorry,
Open
I wasn't
test.
supposed to laugh.
Asshole. But today was the first day of the Indianapolis Open test for the oval, and I watched like the first 5 minutes of it on Peacock until I had to go. But yeah, Rinus VeeKay, wow, he took a shot early, like within 2 minutes. Like he was on his second lap and just hit the wall hard, and it just go. That's pretty much all I saw. You can go. I'm sure it's on Twitter now. NBC probably posted it, but I'm excited to see what tomorrow's test too. So I can't wait for the 500 next month. Can't wait for next week actually, because that's when they come back. But
yeah, but I get it. It's like a progressive ladder up to the Indy 500. So unlike NASCAR, IndyCar doesn't start with their Super Bowl, but they also don't end with it either. So you know, you get a little bit of both, whether you're stock or open wheel racing fan.
No, but what IndyCar does that I like is the double points for the Indy 500 and the last race, which for NASCAR, I don't think it should be the last race. I think it should be the 500, the 600, and the Southern 500, which
100% agree.
It's a full season. That makes sense.
Yeah. Now, so they're not running the Brickyard 400 on the oval. They're doing it on the road course this year. Do you know off the top of your head what the race is called? Because when I think of the crown jewels of NASCAR, it's Daytona 500, Southern 500, the 600, and Brickyard 400. I would lump into that conversation too. And this is the purest racing fan getting angry at me. I don't know why are we messing around with Indianapolis Motor Speedway? But I would say you could double points for that one too if it wasn't a stupid year like this and they were actually running it on the oval. Now on the road course, no.
The road course isn't a crown jewel. I'm
no.
Part of me wants to
figure out what this race is called. Sorry, go ahead.
On the NASCAR app, it still says the Big Machine Vodka 400, so maybe it's 400 kilometers. But I don't think you replace the crown jewel yet. It could be, because what do you make it? Do you make it a Talladega race? Do you make it a the Bristol Night race? Do you make it a Martinsville race? Who takes the cake? And you can't really say you can't really make the case for any of them yet. Well, you could, but in my mind, I can't say which one.
Yeah, that's tough for me too. I think if you ask me right now, I would lean with the a Talladega one, but that's
because we're sports fans. We're fans of Talladega. It's kind of, you can't really do that, but
no,
I don't know. It's just maybe the fans need to help us out here. It's a tough call.
There you go. There's this week's poll question. If they don't move the Indy race back to the oval, like if we don't have the Brickyard 400 back, which to get that out of the way has been wrongfully taken away from us, what would you make as the fourth crown jewel? Would you add one? And what track would it be? What race? So let us know in the comments or on social, or maybe we'll run a poll. We'll see what we can do and have the answer for you next week. All right, I think that takes care of news. Did some IndyCar, we did some NASCAR. We might as well jump to Martinsville here, Zach. The Blue Emu Maximum Pain Relief 500. Mouthful of a race name this week. And I thought the O'Reilly Auto Parts 253 was long when I had to write that several times back in week 2. Not so much anymore. You wrote the Martinsville Speedway detailed overview. That article's up at flurrysports.org in the NASCAR section. There's going to be plenty more joining it, so be sure to check it out. Why don't you share with us anything interesting about the paperclip or anything that you learned in doing some further research this week that would be of note?
So it's the oldest track on the circuit, I believe, with the being built in 1947. The first race was actually on Independence Day, 1948. I didn't know that personally, because it would have been before Daytona, but I always thought they raced on the beach circuit for the 4th of July until they got the big track. I didn't know that the concrete turns were a thing in the 70s. I thought that was like one of the later things. And I didn't know how late the not double pit stops, but the two pit roads were. I thought that was like only an 80s thing. I didn't know it was like all the way up to 2000. Like that was weird to me to see. But very short track with a very long history.
Yeah, there's a reason they call it the paperclip. My favorite thing in writing the overview article, doing more research for that, this specific race, okay, the spring race, is on its 17th different name. The first one was run in 1950, and up until 1956, so we're on the 17th different name, but for the first 6, it didn't even have a name. Like it just had no name.
Just Martinsville 500 or...
No, there's nothing. It started as the Virginia 500 in 56, but from 50 to 55, so what do you say? Like, I'm going to watch the race at Martinsville.
I'm going to watch the Martinsville race. Don't call me.
I thought that was funny. So, and then it's been all over. Like Goodies has had a whole bunch of them with it. It was as recently as 2019, the STP 500, and then it switched to current title sponsor Blue Emu last year. So that was a fun fact to note. A few other things as we prepare to dive into some picks and handicapping for this weekend's race at the half-mile short track. Zach talked about the asphalt track and then the concrete in the corners, but also the corners are flat at Martinsville, and so this puts heavy emphasis on how the drivers enter the corners, breaking through them, and then maintaining a balance and consistency lap by lap. Track position is always important early, especially due to heavy importance of braking. results often show some linear resemblance to road courses, which I found interesting in digging more. The one source I reference that is good, NASCARwagers.com, said specifically Watkins Glen. So that's a track that's right in our backyard, Zach. Interesting to note there. And then paying attention to historical trends and especially recent trends are also important, as rules packages and those changes can affect performance as well. So with that in mind, I pulled up driver ratings specifically at Martinsville Speedway since 2005. So we got a couple different car models in here, but I thought these might be worth running through a few. Among active drivers, Denny Hamlin, in terms of average rating, is at the top, 105.3, and Kyle Busch is the only other driver above 100 average rating at 102.8. Brad Kay, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott, Ryan Newman. That is a name I will be keeping an eye on as we go to picks here in a little bit, for sure. Martin Truex Jr., who won last year's race. Curious to get your thoughts. This is only going to be the second one that they've run under the lights, correct? Last year was the first.
Yes, lights were put in 2017. They didn't use. There wasn't a scheduled race to be under the lights until last year. Unfortunately, because of COVID, it kind of pushed it back a little bit, and so they raced on a Wednesday night. June 10th of 2020 was the first edition of the Martinsville night race.
That's right. Wow, last year seems like a long ways away. Do you think the night racing is something to keep in mind when digging up past stats and trends, knowing that there isn't a whole lot of data for running under a night race? And so that would kind of make me lean into looking more at last year's race specifically, and weighing what we saw there, even over, say, more, what should I say, long-term or enduring trends over the past few years.
I mean, yeah, you have to look back at last year because it's the only data that we have on track temperature, which goes into a lot of how these cars handle and whatnot. But you can't ignore the massive amounts of data that we have for these guys that have raced at this track for years and years. I mean, which one do you depend on more? You probably have to go back in the data because last year could have been an anomaly. I mean, who's to say that Martin Truex Jr. gets damage in the right spot again to cool off his right front tire? So, I mean, it all just happened. Like, I don't know what I'm saying anymore, but like, you understand what I'm saying. I'm trying to.
It's okay. It's all right. Yeah, so a couple of names. I was just reading off the top names there in terms of average rating since 2005 at Martinsville. A couple of names that we might be looking to fade this week, just based on rating alone. These are guys who rank low there. Michael McDowell is down in the 30s. Cole Custer and Christopher Bell as well. Now, of course, there are some inactive drivers on this list, so keep that in mind. Matt DiBenedetto, not a great history. All four of those guys are sub 50 in average rating. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. not much better at 50.8. You know, Zach, last week we talked about maybe some guys who are currently in the playoffs who might fall out, and Stenhouse was your guy, seeing how McDowell has already won a race, and this might not be a great weekend for either one of those smaller race teams. Would you be fading one over the other in particular?
Fade them both. You can't really pick one or the other here. But if you're making me pick which one's going to do better, I feel like it's going to be Michael McDowell. Again, how long can JTG Doherty keep this momentum up is my question. And if you look back at past years, you can see Priest not doing well. You can see AJ Allmendinger not doing well. You can see all these guys who will have a problem here and there, and it ruins what good run they might have had. And I think it's going to show up with Stenhouse more sooner than later.
I think we might be in for a rough one this week. All the Stenhouse truthers out here. Love to see it make the playoffs, but dirt's gone now, that opportunity for a win. So where else is it going to come? It's probably going to have to be at a super speedway, and we know how those go. Easier said than done. So I guess we'll be sweating to the end. But let's jump over to some DFS. This is Zach's wheelhouse.
I wouldn't quite say wheelhouse. I've screwed up the last couple of times.
Hey, you're more of a DFS guy than me. I will say that. We just ran over to the ratings, kind of who's high, who's low. In terms of pricing, I guess we could start there. Your value pick of the week. I'm going to put you on the spot to open up. Who is priced too low based on what you think they are capable of in the Blue Emu Maximum Pain Relief 500?
All right. This is all team dependent. I know I just said all that stuff about Ricky Stenhouse and JT Doherty.
Oh, boy.
But I feel like 2311 Racing and Bubba Wallace is their due. After they had it all right, all fine on the dirt until they late punctured the tire, put them behind the 8 ball this
Courtesy
week.
of Stenhouse.
Yeah, thanks to that. But I think Bubba's definitely due. You can't tell me that he's not due. He starts 25th, I believe, this week. He raced his way into the top 10 last year in this race, and so that's something you have to look at and see. Yeah, he's pretty good at this track. So I mean, Bubba Wallace, you put him in your lineup. He should do good.
Zach is correct on that. He starts 25th. Here's my question, and I feel like I'm crazy for asking it because this team, it is their first year. They have had bad breaks, aka last week's especially. I'm not seeing that he's in inferior equipment. Of course, they have the Joe Gibbs tie with Denny Hamlin. I don't think that's an issue. And so I think you're 100% right. He could be probably more competitive in a race like this than a lot of people might believe.
Was there a question? You said there was a question with it.
Yeah, I guess I didn't ask the question. Basically, just like what I'm seeing is with the equipment. I don't know if you agree or not. I don't think that's an issue for them.
Oh no,
I really don't.
I think with Michael Jordan, whatever he sets out to do, he's trying to become a winner, and so he's not going to buy the low tier equipment that's Brickware Racing and stuff like that. But just put him on blast. Yeah, Michael Jordan fully expects to come out here and win, and I believe that's what he's trying to do here. Denny Hamlin, he's going out there to win too. I think so. I mean, you put those two guys together, they're not going to have a low tier car. They're not going to fund a guy who's going to go out run 20th or below 15th. They're going to try to get top 10s and 5s, and the 2311 needs to step up, and now is the time to do it.
Yeah, speaking of Bubba Wallace's old team, Richard Petty, Eric Jones, average driver rating of 68.7 at Martinsville for his career. When you take out retired drivers ahead of him on the overall list, that would put him 16th, I believe, if my math is correct here. That was in Joe Gibbs equipment. Now we're in Richard Petty Motorsports equipment. I would tend to say he could be another guy I'm fading this week. But anyway, back to DFS here. Zach, who are your, go-to plays? We just gave your value off the top. Who do you want to make sure you have in a lineup around Bubba Wallace? And if you are getting value there, who are you willing to pay up on among the high-priced guys?
Brad Keselowski, and let me tell you why. He averages a top 5 finish, has always finished, in the past 10 10 races here, he's finished on the lead lap every time. He's completed every lap. How can you not pick this guy after all that? I mean, he's just so good at this track. He even threw in 2 wins. If I feel like actually I'm going to go back and rewrite my article because I think he's the winner instead of who I said in the article. But Brett Keselowski for 1. Sorry, I'm just thinking to myself here. And then number 2, I think Kurt Busch. That number 1 team, I know I said earlier in the year he's going to get a win. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to happen before Talladega. But they're so strong, and I feel Kurt Busch is one of those guys who is sneaky good here, and no one realizes it. So I feel like he could do very well here.
Yeah, Kurt Busch has a 6th place finish. That's his best in the last 10 races. In the last 5, though, 11th, 6th, 12th, 6th, and 9th. So you got 3 top 10s and 2 more just outside the top 10. Could be a sneaky pick there for sure. He is starting not that high, 21st. So you could theoretically gain some points there just for positions gained relative to start as well. So I would say that is a good call. Who we fading?
Okay. Not mentioning the guy who I've said every week so far, but he's in the article. So I'm going to say Kyle Larson. I feel like this track does not suit him. His average start here is about 9th, and his average finish here is double that. So he's with a guy who's starting 20th, I think. That's not something you want to see because you're not going to. It's easy to defend, but it's hard to make passes here. Kyle Larson's not the guy to do it. I'm faded Kyle Larson, and I'll even fade your guy Ricky Stenhouse because he's also in the article.
He's not my guy. I'm just supporting the smaller funded team. I got nothing against Stenhouse. Kyle Larson. Let's see here. Of course, he missed last year. Both races at Martinsville. Only 2 top 10s though in the from 15 to 19. So that's not exactly a recipe for success. Like you said, he is starting 19th. My worry in fading him would be the 5 car has just looked so good this year. But this is a track that has given him trouble as a driver in the past. That is for sure. First go around in Hendrick equipment, though, that doesn't give you pause at all in saying you're staying away.
Yeah, he looks strong, but I feel like it's easier. Well, depending on the track, with Martinsville, I think it's easier for the driver to adapt than the crew, if that makes sense. And wait, no, it's easy for. I don't even know what I'm saying. I don't think just fade Larson. I'm messing this up. Larson hasn't learned the track. He's been here since 2014. It's just not working out for him yet.
Okay, Zach doesn't know what he's saying, but he's trying to give you DFS advice, so I guess take it for what it's worth. Let's look at some odds to win this race. Martin Truex Jr., last year's winner under the lights, is your betting favorite. These are all MyBookie Sportsbook odds. Just to clarify, 5-1. Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin are 6-1. Brad K, who Zach likes, plus 650. Ryan Blaney, 7-1. Joey Logano, plus 750. Those would be considered the 6 favorites, according to the odds to win this weekend. I'm assuming it's got to be Keselowski for you, right? Among that group, you just went off on how great he is here. Any of the others that you would be interested in betting at those shorter odds?
Truex, only because he knows how to get it done here. Granted, he might have had help last year with that damage, but he still, I think, was it James Small? His new, well, not new, but the newer crew chief he has. They had something figured out last year. I think they'll continue may continue the domination this year. This year. Yeah,
100%. Truex and Keselowski over the last 10 races. They got the same exact average finish of 6.6. Keselowski top 10 in 9 of them. Truex top 10 in 8. And Keselowski's average is getting hurt by a 32nd, which Truex has never finished outside the top 20 in the last 10. He won in the fall here as well. Jeez. 5 top 5s in the last 5 races. There's a reason he's the favorite. Honestly, at 5-1, I could get behind that as well. Kyle Busch at 10-1 is a name we got to talk about. He has the best average finish at Martinsville over the last 10 races. Interesting to see him priced at 10-1, but things have not looked great for the Joe Gibbs 18 team going all the way back to last year. Zach and I have talked about that multiple occasions here on the show. 10-1, though. I feel like we don't even see odds that long on Kyle most weeks, and those are tracks where he's not necessarily have the same pedigree as he does here at Martinsville. Man, that is tempting. Kyle Larson is also 10-1. So interesting there. That's a guy Zach is fading. And then we got Kevin Harvick at 12-1 and William Byron at 18-1, kind of in that next tier, if you will. It's got to be Busch out of those, I think, for me. Even though I don't want to. But the history here, now it hasn't been as good in the last couple. The only other one would be Harvick, I think. With an average finish of 11.3. I'm going to assume, let's see, let me guess. It's Harvick for you.
No.
You want it to be, though. Notice how the hat has been removed before we got to this point, those watching live, so he could pick against his boy. Go ahead.
No, it's not. Actually, I didn't even think about that. But no, Harvick, if you look at his 2 races last year, he finished, I don't even think he finished on the lead lap in the first race. The second race, he got screwed late, not late, but he got screwed early, got let down, and couldn't. His only rebound was trying to hit Kyle Busch, which that brought up more of a argument for why NASCAR doesn't need the playoffs, which they don't. NASCAR, I will fight you on this tooth and nail. It's so stupid. I don't even care anymore. But back to the point, Harvick just doesn't have it in Martinsville yet. Prove me wrong, Kevin. But it's got to be Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is the guy that I'm surprised he has that long odds. He's not up there with Elliott and Keselowski.
That is a 10-1 that I would be jumping on for sure. Let's look at a few longer guys and see. Bubba Wallace, who Zach said he likes his value in DFS over on FanDuel. He's 80-1 to win the race outright. Alex Bowman is 25-1. Christopher Bell, 28-1. He's a guy who we talked about low average rating here, probably going to stay away. Kurt Busch, 28-1. Could possibly dabble in that if you're so inclined. Tyler Reddick is 66-1. Ryan Newman, 80-1 as well. Any of those guys, or is there another long shot you'd be curious on the odds on? I can tell you that all of your Rick Ware boys are 100-1 or longer.
Where's Chris Buescher at? Just curious.
Buescher is 100. What would that be? 125-1.
Maybe dial in a dream on Buescher because we've talked about it before. Rick Ware, jeez, RFR Roush Fenway Racing. They have done so much better this year and could very well find victory lane. Why that will go over my head, but yeah, Rick RFR. I'm not even going to say his team name anymore. They are rebounding, and again, Martinsville could be the place to do it for either one of those two, Buescher or Newman.
Would you rather Buescher at 125-1 or Newman at 80-1? Because as you called him, Mr. Tougher to pass than a kidney stone, He's got a history here, and Martinsville's not exactly an easy place to pass, especially when you're passing Ryan Newman. I'd bite the bullet and go with Newman there. I'm going to be looking at Newman, especially here when we get to some props in a second, but of those two, preference?
That's tough, because I definitely feel like Busch is the better passer, but like you said, with me, Mr. Tougher to pass in a kidney stone is.
I gave you your credit. Don't worry.
It's tough to pass here. So unfortunately, this might be one where I give to Newman, even though I do because I am a Chris Buescher guy. I do like the guy. He seems super nice, but unfortunately, I think Newman gets the crown here.
All right, so we can agree on that. Let's jump over to DraftKings here and look at some other finishing positions and some props. Everyone across the board is plus money for a top three. A couple guys I could get behind there for sure would be Truex at plus 145, Keselowski plus 175, Kyle Busch is plus 325 for a top three. Top 10s, looking at these odds, I think I could support minus 182 on Harvick. William Byron is minus 106. His driver rating not bad here in terms of average finish. Byron's big here, just 18.2, but he has been top 10 each of the last two races.
Yeah, Byron's not a bad pick. I mean, he finished second to Truex in one of the Martin's races. It might have been fall 2019, if I remember correctly.
Correct, yeah.
But, okay, yeah, so he has proven that he's very good here and could very well get his second win in the year.
Yeah, I could see that. Minus 106, almost even money there. Not bad at all on a top 10. Of course, Hendrick has looked really strong. We've documented that here on this show. So not a bad play there at all. Alex Bowman is the same price for a top 10. And looking at the starting grid, Byron starts third and Bowman 20th. I will take Byron there all day at those odds. Kurt Busch for top 10 plus 115. These are some other drivers that might be of interest based on discussion so far, Zach. Ryan Newman plus 275 for a top 10. Yes, please. Chris Buescher is plus 350. Anyone else you're curious on or any other commentary on top threes, top 10s? We have top 5 too if you want me to look there as well.
I'm not betting him, but where's Eric Almirola in all this?
Eric Almirola.
We haven't talked about him at all this show, it seems like.
Well, there hasn't been a whole lot to talk about for the number 10 team that's been positive this year. 18-1 for a top 3, plus 275 for a top 10. And top 5, let's see where we're at here. 9-1.
Yeah, I don't even think I'd touch that because he's starting 31st. He does not have a good track record at this track, and so it just seems like more trouble for the 10 team, and they need to do something quick if they want to turn around and make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. There are some good top 5 odds too. DraftKings does that yes, no, so you can bet yes for a top 5 or no. Unlike the other positions, Keselowski's minus 106 for a top 5. Denny Hamlin is plus 105. Some others here. Newman, if you want to go big, 9-1. Truex is minus 118 for a top 5. I like that better, I think, than top 3. There's not. What was his top 3 odds? Plus 140, plus 145 for top 3. I don't know. Which way would you go there?
I think he'd go top 3. You have more payout, and I think he's definitely going to be a top 2 car between him and Keselowski for the win. So, if you, barring a bet like a wreck or something mechanical, I think he's definitely going to be top 3.
All right. Any other props that you want to look at? Team of the race winner, Joe Gibbs is the favorite at plus 190. Team Penske just behind, plus 215. So again, you got your Truex and your Keselowski factoring in there. I don't know, anything else that you would want to look at? Ford is the interesting. So Joe Gibbs, favorite team to win the race, plus 190. Toyota is the second manufacturer to win the race at plus 180. Now, you do have fewer Toyotas, so I get it in a way. But Ford, plus 150. So if you like Keselowski, you're definitely betting Team Penske. And if you think it's going to be a Gibbs driver not named Truex, which Denny Hamlin has got to win sooner than later the way he's driving, you'd still be going with Gibbs at the current odds, but keep an eye on that in case those flip, I guess would be my advice there, how the market moves. Anything else you want to inquire on, if I can pull it up here?
No, I think all my props are good. I think we hit the teams and whatnot that I cared about, at least.
Fair enough. Just because I was curious, I ran over to the group page. Whew, man. So they put Newman and Buescher in the same group, Group E on DraftKings, with Austin Dillon and Daniel Suarez. Newman and Dillon are co-favorites at plus 225. Buescher plus 325 to win the group. In a four-man horse race, that's where I would like to take advantage of guys like that. And my money would be on Newman there. So that could be an option as well. I'll have more for you in the betting preview article, which I'll be writing up tonight or tomorrow. And Zach's DFS will be going up. It's all over at flurrysports.org, so be sure to check it out.
Our own little section.
Our own little section. Can you tell we're proud of it? Anything else, Zach, before we get out of here? I think we broke down the Blue Emu Maximum Pain Relief 500 at Martinsville Speedway. Pretty good here this week.
Yeah, I'm excited. Can't wait for Saturday night between the race and Wrestlemania. So let's get to it.
Any Wrestlemania bold prediction you got for us, or?
Yeah, I have one upset, and the only upset I see happening is Ziggler and Rude retain over the Mysterios.
I could see that happening too. I'm surprised, honestly, that's an upset, but I feel like a lot of the good guys get the favorite odds, and a lot of the heels get the plus money. So, bit of an upset last night, though, in night one of NXT TakeOver in that gauntlet match. I'm more of an NXT guy, so I can't wait for night two tonight. Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly should be epic. Yeah, it's a fun week.
Damn it, I messed it up.
Get out of here with your UE stuff. I've hated Adam Cole forever, so I'm so happy Pat McAfee's right. Let me just get that out of the way. Follow the show on Twitter at Burnt Rub Racing. Follow Zach at ZT McAdoo. Snack McAdoo will be his Twitter name in the near future.
No, we're not touching that. We are not touching that. No. Get out of here, that. Get out of here.
Yeah, you can follow me if you really want to at Hangtime Sports. And I think we're going to end the show there because I need to hear about this whole snack story. So, this has been episode 8 of Burnt Rubber Racing. We will talk to you next week. Good luck with all the Martinsville plays and enjoy your sports weekend, everyone. Take care.